Hello and welcome to the big picture. For some years now, surrogate motherhood has become an accepted practice in India. Ever since the invention of IVF techniques to produce babies, the spread of surrogacy has been noticed. While Indians started accepting it as a means to overcome infertility and have babies, foreigners attracted by lower cost as well as good facilities started flocking to India in the last several years. Some Indian film stars like Amir Khan and his wife Kiran Rao, as well as Shah Rukh Khan and his wife Gauri, have popularized it by opting for surrogacy to have one child each. However, the spread of this method, unregulated as it was, also resulted in bad practices and unethical ways. The government has been therefore trying to bring about regulation. Yesterday, the Union Cabinet has approved a bill, Surrogacy Regulation Bill 2016, which among other things restricts surrogacy only to Indian couples who have been married for at least 5 years, bars foreign couples and even NRIs and OCIs to opt for surrogacy in India, and also homosexuals and live-in couples. While the demand for regulation has been universal, the provisions in the bill passed by the Cabinet has come in for some criticism and debate. We will look at this proposed legislation and the various provisions and how it will help regulate surrogacy and what are the pros and cons of the bill. To discuss this, I have with me Shailaja Chandra, former Secretary, Health and Family Welfare, Government of India, Dr. Nayana Patel, Medical Director, Akanksha Research and Medical Institute, who has been considered as a pioneer in surrogacy in India, is joining us from Anand in Gujarat, Sunita Reddy, Associate Professor, Center for Social Medicine, JNU, Hari G. Ramasubramanian, Chief Consultant, Indian Surrogacy Law Center, is on the phone line from Chennai, and Sushmi Day, Assistant Editor of the Times of India. Welcome to all of you. Shailaja Chandra, how long has this law been in the making?
To my knowledge, at least 7 years. And the one that was made by ICMR, Indian Council of Medical Research, which had a host of guidelines, almost recommended after consulting about, I think, 4,000 participants all over the country. They had workshops and things. And having had those consultations, they tried to say that it should be permissible, but with huge safeguards for the mother-to-be, I mean the surrogate mother, in terms of her nourishment, in terms of what she's to be given as compensation for doing this. Also, what exactly would be...
it spoke of compensation.
It spoke really of, I think it spoke of giving her... I don't think I would be able to answer that correctly. So you better not ask me. Maybe somebody else knows this reply. But definitely it was regulating and allowing surrogacy to be done by poor people. I think this new law, I mean, I would say that I welcome the fact that a bill has at least been made and is going to be tabled in Parliament. But I also feel that unless it goes to a select committee, a standing committee, which looks into the pros and cons of what is being suggested, how practical it is, and how it is going to, is the goal to protect the woman who is poor? Is the goal to ensure that there is no commercialization alone? Is the goal also to see that health and nutrition is taken care of? Because behind all this, the one word that comes out is the whole subject of altruism.
Right.
Altruism is not something in the Indian psyche or in any psyche. You know, the kidney business has proved that it does not work. Love and affection within the family are not going to find those people. The need is huge. And when IVF, when the uterus is not able to carry a baby, you will look for this option. And you have to look at other countries in the world. Leave the West. I mean, Russia permits it. Many states in the US permit it. UK permits it with altruistic requirements. So in a way, we have taken a little of other countries, but the ground realities in India are completely different. And those have to be confronted, whether it is the medical practitioners, whether it is female feticide. You cannot make laws which are never going to be implemented.
Which are not practical in that sense. Dr. Patel, how practical is this bill which has been passed by the Cabinet?
First of all, I agree with what Shailaja said, that we welcome that the bill has come up. But I agree with her that it's probably an impractical bill which makes surrogacy almost impossible. in kidney donation or an organ donation, a brother, father, husband, father-in-law, mother, anybody can donate. But when it comes to surrogacy, it's going to be some young female only within the family who can do it. So the choice cuts down to just 10% of what can be available for organ donation. So saying that only altruistic and from within the family cuts off the opportunity for the females who are infertile if they do not have anybody in the family to carry their child. The second thing is regarding the surrogate mother. So compensation surrogacy, which is the word used world over, should be allowed because compensation should be in such an amount that it is good for the surrogate mother, her nourishment, her checks, everything should be in place. And if a cell is made where an infertile couple registers for surrogacy, a surrogate registers to become a surrogate, and then they have a place to complain if something goes wrong. Here, when it is like only altruistic, nobody can be paid, then underground surrogacy will come up. Well, surrogates and the infertile couple can be blackmailed, can be exploited, and have no place to complain about this. So the practicality, one point. Second point is 5 years of married life, which is also not scientifically correct because if a couple gets married at 38 years, they can't to be 43 to get surrogate when they genuinely need surrogacy. So these certain aspects are definitely people should look into it and do it so that it becomes beneficiary to the surrogates and to the infertile couple and do not completely stop a good arrangement of surrogacy.
Okay. I think very interesting points made there. Ramasubramanian, as a lawyer, as somebody who has been looking at the laws, how do you look at this bill, and what are the points which you think are welcome, and what are the problems there?
See, as has been pointed out by Dr. Nayana, this bill is very, very impractical, and it is probably reducing the total scope of surrogacy itself. Well, it can be at least appreciated that altruistic surrogacy is allowed. We also have to understand that altruistic surrogacy is a failed model all over the world. Like, there is a huge, like most of the countries do allow altruistic surrogacy. And we have seen that, a lot of people from all over the world have actually come down to India to take up surrogacy arrangements earlier because it was not possible at their own country. Similarly, when it comes to India also, they might not be actually be able to like nobody has got close relative, or every infertile couple cannot expect somebody else's kind-heartedness for them to become parents. And to live with that same person for over a period of time after the child is born would be very difficult. In reality, we don't know what are the negatives with regard to altruistic surrogacy and how many people would actually be willing to go in for an altruistic surrogacy in the first place. Even at the given time, we're not sure, always altruistic surrogacy is every doctor, when they are counseling the patient for surrogacy, they would say, like, if you have a relative, you can bring them forward for being a surrogate mother to carry your child. But in reality, nobody has got a person like that. And that is the reason why they're required to look into for, commercial surrogacy in the first place. And as from a legal point of view, I would say that the bill would actually push people for an underground transactions rather than regulate commercial surrogacy. At least at the moment, the way it has been working is that the transactions are pretty clear. We have a surrogacy agreement, and your compensation is stated there. What you should do, what you should not do, stated there. Once we have this ban over commercial surrogacy, then people might be looking to take this whole thing underground, and that is not something favorable. It would actually, unethical practices will thrive in such situations, and people who are actually might not be able to come out with their actual situations.
Okay, please stay on. I'll come back to you. Sunita Reddy, was there, how serious was the need to bring about such a law? Because what both Dr. Nayana Patel is saying and Ramasubramanian is saying is that already there are certain rules and regulations in place which are working pretty well.
Right. Before I start talking about this particular point, I would like to give a brief background of my own position as an anthropologist who has done a longitudinal empirical research. And I go with Shailaja ji, when we are talking of a ground reality, we need to take into consideration all the interests of all the stakeholders. But now what has happened is ART bill has been pending for so many years. We haven't turned that into an act, and we have come up with a new act of surrogacy bill, which should have been part of the same
ART is Assisted
Reproductive
Technology
Technology
Bill.
Regulation
Yes.
Act, which if the law would have been there, we would have at least seen how far it has been successful, whether it was able to curtail the unethical practices which are happening in few clinics, not all clinics. We did study in both in Delhi and Hyderabad. Majority of them are doing a fair practice following the ICMR guidelines, but there are few clinics definitely following unethical means in the commercial interests and like many practices which may come across while we discuss further. But the point is now it's swinging from one extreme to another. It was commercial gestational surrogacy, unregulated without a law. And now we have completely taken by surprise to ban completely. It's a full regulation with no choice for anybody else. And given a country like India with diversity, definitely surrogates' interest should be the prime.
What is the kind of demand in this country?
Huge. I mean, we often again say that it's the foreign country couples who are coming to India. Foreign couples are few in number, but compared to within India, there are a lot of parents who go for surrogacy, and there are also NRI couples who come to India. Given a proportion, maybe 3/4 are Indians.
Dr. Patel, sorry, I'll come back to you. Dr. Patel, what is the kind of demand in this country for surrogacy?
I'll tell you that 1 in 4,000 females are born without uterus, and 2% of infertile couples need surrogacy, and 1 in every 6 couples is infertile. So you can imagine the demand is humongous. There are lots of couples in India who need surrogacy, leave aside the foreigners. And the thing is that a female who is born without uterus now knows that she will never get a surrogate. Nobody would be ready to marry her. If she is married and the husband knows the problem is with the female and there is no surrogate, no chance to get a baby, he would definitely want to remarry and divorce her. So you see the pitiable situation of an already suffering female.
I'll come back to you, doctor. I'll come back to you. Yes, please continue.
So what I was saying is we need to really look into the ground realities, the social and cultural values.
But there was a need. You are saying that there was this kind of a need to come up with this kind of a regulation.
Yeah, when you look at from the parents' point of view, there is a need. Of course, there are a lot of other arguments saying that we need to adopt children because we are having a lot of children abandoned. But given the value systems within India, Indian social values, where you have to have a child of your own, again relates to patriarchy, again relates to what you call property, which is passed on from one generation to another through male child. So given all those social realities, women who are not able to conceive, it's a huge pressure for her. But then when it comes the third party, the surrogate mother into picture, there are much more responsibilities on the part of the state to regulate this through a law and give a chance to have this law where there is both altruistic and commercial allowed, but at the same time regulate in a way that no surrogate mother is exploited, which we haven't come across because we have straight away from...
As you said, we have swung to the other extreme.
Right.
So, Sushmi, the cabinet has come out with this regulation. How far, what do you think has been the intention behind this? Is there a lot of morals involved in this legislation, or is there a practicality to it?
Girish, one needs to understand here what is the objective, that the government is moving forward with. The objective here is not so much to protect the intending couple who's going out for surrogacy. The objective here is to protect the vulnerable woman, the poor woman who's getting exploited, or otherwise also how women in the society are getting exploited. So the government, and at the same time not hindering the rights of an intending couple. So the provisions have been drawn out accordingly. When we are talking about compensation, when we are talking about inheritance and other social values, the government's response have been that you have options like adoption. You know, you can a couple can go and as a society we need to evolve and look for other options. Like the society should also promote adoption as a whole. As far as compensation is concerned, the government, again the objective here comes in place, in view. Why, the moment you allow compensation, you somewhere open a door, a window for commercialization. So the lines have been drawn very clean and clear as far as this bill is concerned. How it moves forward, what will be the responses in the standing committee is something for us to see.
Okay. Shailaja, you know, one thing is what we have already discussed, but what has been left out? Like, you know, live-in couples cannot have, foreigners cannot have, even NRIs and OCIs can't have. What is the intention behind it?
There's a certain...
see, when you make laws, you have made laws, you have been part of the process of making laws. So when you're making laws, what is the intention? What is the main intention behind it?
Well, I think the political message is very important here. And I think politically the message which is sought to be given is we do not recognize homosexuality and therefore it has to be
We don't even recognize live-in relationship which the Supreme Court has recognized already.
So you make a point on that through this bill. You also make a point that we will not allow exploitation of Indian women by foreigners. This is the second point that is being strongly made. And I think the whole effort is to say that we have a certain culture, a certain ethos, and we will permit this to happen only if you are able to do it through an altruistic measure within an Indian family and nothing beyond that. I think this is really, it only means like the kidney or like the ultrasound for female feticide, it will go underground. And whatever good work was being done, apparently, I mean, whatever I had looked into, there was clear responsibility for nutrition.
For instance, I think we have lost Dr. Nayana Patel. I think we got her back. I just want her to tell us exactly what has been. Dr. Patel, you have been doing this for the last several years. What are the kind of safeguards have you put in ensuring that nobody gets exploited, everything is done in a proper manner?
That is very important. Right from starting, the psychological counseling at 3 levels of the survey, with keeping the whole family members, everybody in the loop, explaining what is it, how it is being done. Then doing a medical checkup thorough with the physician, doing all tests, and you believe we did a study, 300 surrogates when we did a medical checkup, 78 were found to be not medically fit to do surrogacy. So those checks are important. After that, when we have not a surrogate and the couple meet each other, the financial agreement so there that yes, this will be compensated to them for services they are provided. They are given proper nutrition, proper post-delivery care for 3 months. And even after that, we have an Anand trust, which is running since 2008 very successfully, taking care of the children's education, giving them the educational material, 1,500 children this time, giving employment to the surrogates, giving vocational training for embroidery, stitching, spoken English, beautician courses. So all this is taken care of, and having them employed somewhere post-surrogacy also, counseling them that if you don't have to become a surrogate, don't become a surrogate. So these are the important steps where we regard the surrogate at each and every step, so we are very sure that they are not exploited, and also helping them how they should be investing if they want to buy a house. We see that yes, they are getting the proper place where they should invest the money. These all things, if they are taken care of in the right proper government module, the surrogate will definitely benefit.
Okay. Yeah, Shailaja. So there are actually some good practices which are happening in this country.
Yes.
That what was necessary was to ensure that these good practices get legislated.
They are tightened and
legislated.
And there are also there are structures available to administer this.
Exactly.
It should not be just left to guidelines. I wish they had really gone one step further with the experience that has been, really looked at. But I'm sure when the standing committee looks at it, I'm absolutely certain that all these voices, I mean, the government may not accept that version, but all those voices will certainly come on record. And I would say the need for counseling at the time of surrogacy, that have you looked at the adoption angle? Because the adoption part...
No, one very important thing, as all of you are pointing out, is can surrogacy be a success in this country only on altruistic terms?
It cannot. Because
that is something which I think everybody agrees here.
Altruism will only come from people out of love and affection. Love and affection.
But as Dr. Patel points out, the number of people who are, the number of women who will be, it comes down to just 10%.
It will not happen. I mean, a normal family that you're talking about, the people who are seeking come from a certain middle class background. They have money to spare.
Exactly.
In those families, this is not going to happen. Maybe the poor will do it among themselves because there is altruism there.
Yes.
But Can I make a point? Can I make a point here?
Yeah, please, please.
The sister is having a need of a surrogate mother, and now only altruistic is allowed. The brother's wife, sister-in-law, will be forced by everybody in the family, even if she is not willing, that you have to become a surrogate for her. So there will be a pressure on this sister-in-law who doesn't want to do it altruistically, but because the cannot be found from somewhere else, she is being pushed into it. What about these family pressures?
Exactly.
Have you looked into that?
Exactly, yes.
I think the monitoring of the clinics, what kind of people are registering over there, what kind of, you might say, linkage exists with the would-be surrogate mother, who finds the surrogate mother? After all, there has to be a system.
No, that is the most important thing. Sunita, how do you, looking at it from the surrogate mother's point of view, so far what all we have read, I think Dr. Patel herself has done about 1,000 surrogacies so far. All of them most of them are, 95% of them are poor women who are looking for some quick, good money. So what happens to that?
Yeah, I would like to put it the other way around, where surrogates are not really looking for quick money, but because they are pushed into poverty and there are no other livelihood opportunities for them, that they come to this extent of volunteering themselves to be. So it's not really a choice, it's pushed because of circumstances.
Certainly.
But the point is, when we talk of the bill, ART bill has been pending for 8 years. Now we haven't made it into a law. We have brought surrogacy out of it.
Would you have preferred that the ART bill itself had this provision?
Exactly. It has a lot of things related to surrogacy, but there were little more amendments to be made in terms of safeguarding surrogates' interests in that particular bill. So that particular bill was supposed to come into an act, and we should have seen how clinics are following that. Without that, we have taken out surrogacy bill separately, which is really not required. And there are many issues within IVF itself, which is the ART bill is addressing. So we have completely left that. We have stuck to surrogacy bill, and that again not looking into the ground realities. And we need to also address about the social change which is happening, the point which you raised earlier, the changing modern families. Exactly. So if we have to be with the reality, and many a times we're not able to catch up, the law is not able to catch up with the new developments, especially in the science, technology and biotechnology. So it's not just happening in India, but world over. Bodies are for sale, whether in part or whole. That's what Skipper says. And with her organ watch, she has been looking closely at how either the body parts are stolen or bartered or sold or purchased. So that's all over the world it's happening, and it's much more being debated. But within Indian context, definitely surrogates have been exploited, but there were ways and means to check
control
that
and regulate them.
Yeah, exactly.
Ramasubramanian, what has been the biggest problem which has resulted in this kind of a bill having to be passed? And what about the ART bill? You think you also preferred that this should have been under the ART itself?
Actually, India was totally waiting for a legislation to govern surrogacy, IVF, and the industry as a whole. As it has been already pointed out, there have been several issues that have been pretty disturbing when it comes to the IVF industry, which even the doctor community wanted the law to govern themselves in a proper fashion. But we had this ART bill pending for about 8 years. And every 2 years we used to have a different avatar of the same bill. But what had happened is we had a huge consultative process on the ART bill where people were giving opinions as to this is how it should be shaped and this is how it should be made. But all of a sudden we have the surrogacy bill without any consultative process. Surprisingly, it has even cleared the the cabinet. But it has totally been out of the consultative process. Nobody has been consulted, or the ideas here are totally different from what has actually existed from the ART bill. We are unable to understand how this bill had actually come up without the consultative process at all. That is the first thing. And second thing, if you ask me, like, it is pretty much a scenario where everybody has been waiting for a rain, sitting in the desert, and finally we end up with getting a desert, an acid rain kind of thing.
Okay.
Like, this was totally unexpected, like with regard to several aspects, like for example, the 5-year rule, banning of commercial surrogacy. All these things are clearly against reproductive rights of people. And when it comes to the comparison between adoption and surrogacy, there is one major difference here. When it comes to adoption, you're taking somebody else's child into your family. When it comes to surrogacy, you are having your own child through somebody else's womb because you're not able to carry the child.
Okay.
It is purely a medical need that it is forcing people to go in for this process.
Okay.
In all my experience, I have never seen somebody who wants to go in for surrogacy willingly. That kind of an attitude which people have got is just a majority view on the minority infertile couple population.
Okay.
And it seriously cannot be accepted at all.
Okay. Okay. So, Sushmi, he's talking that there was no consultative process. Wasn't there? Was there a consultative?
There was a consultation process. The draft bill was out for a while. There was a GOM on this, and as we all have reported, as Sushma Swaraj herself pointed out, the government itself for 11 times in the parliament mentioned that, promised that it will be tabled. So this bill has been in the process for a while. As has been pointed out, the shape of the bill for a while was different. So it was part of ART bill, which was more, the purview was was different. It was to include IVF and many other things. But so surrogacy has been taken out, and this has been
that is what has created all this confusion, I think. Very quickly.
I just wanted to say that certain developed countries, be it Australia, be it the UK, be it some states in USA, put this requirement of altruism. We seem to have just taken it on without looking at all the experience gained over the last 8-10 years.
Okay. I think on that note we'll end. Whether altruism will work or not, that is the primary question. There are several other questions. I'm sure all this will get debated much more as the time goes on, and when the bill actually comes to Parliament, we'll wait and watch. Thanks to all my guests. Please keep watching. We'll come back with another issue of the Big Picture same time tomorrow.